Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to take your business or your life to the next level and become that confident leader. Today, I'm very excited to have as my guest, Erin Marcus. And let me tell you about Erin. She is the founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business, an international company helping entrepreneurs and small business owners get the financial and emotional freedom they need to build a business and a life they're proud of. Having made the successful leap from corporate executive to entrepreneur, Erin uses that experience along with her MBA education and street smart upbringing to help clients reach heights they never dreamed possible. And they have fun doing it, which is so important. Erin is also an international speaker and host of Ready Yet podcast. Today, my title or my theme is going to be a shortened version of something that she has out there she'll talk about later. And it is Year of Failure in 2018 to multiple, yay, six figures. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Erin Marcus. Erin, so nice to have you.
Thank you. I sound so fancy when you read it all.
Well, yeah, you are fancy schmancy. Yeah, flaunt it. We always start out with the easy question. If you've watched my podcast, everybody knows what's coming, but where do you live?
Oh, outside of Chicago. I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago where the city becomes the forest.
Oh, so I have been to Chicago several times. I even did some UPS management training there in one of their hub drivers or their driver training facilities, which was not such a fancy schmancy place, but it was, I was able to spend some time near that beautiful lake you have that looks like the ocean.
It is right. I didn't know. It was funny. Growing up, that's our lake. I grew up in Chicago. I live in the suburbs, but I grew up in Chicago. Hence the street smart upbringing. But I didn't know that most people think lakes are something you could like kind of swim across, or at least see the other side. Like my definition of a lake is Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
But I learned later that that's not everybody's definition.
No. And therefore, those of us, like I'm Pittsburgh, I grew up in Three Rivers, and our rivers you could swim across.
Yes.
But the cold that lake creates makes winters very interesting. Windy City, yes, you are.
Yes. It's a little chilly here.
Yes. But beautiful in the summer.
Oh, it's absolutely. It's beautiful in the winter. It's just, can you handle it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The air show is pretty awesome too.
Oh, the air show is magnificent. Always.
So there's our promotion to go visit Chicago.
Yeah,
that's right. Have some pizza.
Tons of cool things to do here.
Yes, could not say enough good things.
Yeah.
So how did you go in less than 2 years from referring to yourself as the world's #1 pinball and barely making $10,000 to making multiple six figures in your business and still having fun doing it? You know, a lot of people think, oh my God, she must have worked to the bone, didn't have a life, and was miserable and frustrated. Talk to us.
No, frustrated, yes, but no. And truthfully, during that time, I only worked 4 days a week.
Gosh.
Because I volunteered on Friday at a wildlife rescue.
Oh, nice.
So I was up to my ears in baby ducks and raccoon poop and things, gross things. So yeah, I only worked 4 days a week during that time. Most of the time, obviously not every single week, but it really was. And this is what derailed me, was not realizing, I had the big fancy corporate career, come out of corporate. And then my first step was a franchise. So I purchased a franchise. That's how I got myself out of corporate. And I made it to the top 10 out of 200 offices in about 18 months.
Wow.
And so that franchisor had me training new franchises and speaking at their events. And when the socioeconomic things were going on that made me realize that franchise wasn't where I wanted to continue, what was happening at that same time was me helping all my friends, helping all my network friends, helping all my vendors grow their businesses. And I really kind of figured, okay, that's where I wanted to live and play. But what I didn't expect was how much the mindset game was going to come into play. Because, leaving corporate and having my franchise, that was certainly a leap. It was certainly a leap, but there was still a framework to what I was doing. There was still a product that was external of me, right? There was this tangible, external is the word I keep coming up with, product. We worked with families with aging parents. I mean, I had 15 people on that team. It was a big business. And I called it a baby franchise because I really did have to help create how it all worked.
Wow.
But there was still a framework. I wasn't the product. And once I really got out there as an entrepreneur, decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to step into my own thing, truly my own thing, where I had to create every facet, not just of the business, but of the concept.
Yeah.
The world got too big. Right? Like the bumpers are out of the gutters, the wheels are off the bus. we're becoming the number one pinball, which I use to express reaction mode.
Yeah.
Right? You're just bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, hoping to score some points. You don't even know what it looks like without falling down the lingering hole beneath you. Because when you think about it, when you play pinball, the only plan that you can have is to not let the ball fall.
Yeah.
There's no game plan beyond don't let the ball fall.
Yeah. And constant movement.
Constant movement, constant slam. Yeah. I'm not an expert pinball player, and that's how it feels, right? You're bouncing off things. Now, a very nice woman gave me a nice reframe to think about 2018 as Erin's year of reflection. But I will tell you, when you have a multiple six-figure corporate job, and then you have a top 10 franchise out of 200, and then you make $11,000 in a year, it doesn't feel like reflection in the moment. It feels like failure.
Right.
And what it really did was I learned a whole lot of things that I didn't want to do. I learned a whole lot of things that didn't work. And simultaneously, I went deep on how I think. Yeah. I went deep because at no time, and how did I get it to multiple six figures so fast? It's because at no time did I not think I could do what it was that my business does. I had 100% confidence because I have all the experience and the education in what the business was trying to do for a living. There was never been hesitation around that. I know I can get my clients results. I know what I know how to do. I've been doing it in corporate. I did it at the $1 million level. I can certainly do it at the $1,000 level. So that was never an issue, but I just didn't understand enough about being in charge of my thought and my business model instead of reacting to it. We're good Midwesterners here. We just work harder, right? So there was a lot of mess in my head in the way.
Mm-hmm.
that resulted in a lot of scrambly behavior, right? That wasn't really guiding me towards what I want. And now the thing that sounds cool when you say it, but is truly a problem, is I have a massive amount of bandwidth for handling chaos. I have a massive amount of bandwidth for handling information and for doing a lot of things. But it sounds cool, but it's not the way you should do things.
Right, right.
And so that year of failure was all about getting bumpers back in my gutters.
Yeah.
And I use that analogy a lot. Getting real clear on what it was that I wanted to do for people, and getting crazy clear on how I was going to have to show up and how I was going to have to think about it. Right. I talk a lot about the fact that I work at the intersection where what you need to do meets who you need to be to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that year I had to learn who I needed to be to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. I hope people are taking notes. She's like giving you dropping gems constant here. So speaking of those gems, what are 2 tips you would share that helps keep you stay motivated and focused? Because as you said, you know, you're being that pinball, you're going around and around. People around you will be telling you things that are going to take you off focus, besides the person that's between your 2 ears that's telling you those things. So talk to us about just 2 things that could help the audience when they feel like, oh my gosh, you know, we talked about today's Friday the 13th, you know, people let something just like that throw them off course.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so my one tip is that everything has to be reverse engineered.
Oh, very
This
good.
is the biggest mistake I watch entrepreneurs make, over small business owners. They start from square one, and you can't, because you don't know what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always, in my MBA, and it's a case study, a lot of people read the book Good to Great and the story about getting the right people on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to know where the bus is going.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're trying to do, because if you, and by the way, money is not the answer to what do you want. Because if you told me, oh, I want to make $1 million, that's great, but I can give you 1 million different ways to make $1 million business.
Mm-hmm.
So the dollar amount is where you start, not where you stop. That like is the bottom basics of creating your reverse engineer.
Right.
So you have to figure out what it is that you want. Do you want just as a quick example, do you want a luxury level business that only works with 4 clients that pay you $250K each for your $1 million business? Or do you want a low cost leader model and build a community at $47 a month? Also a wonderful business model. Like there's no wrong answer, but what you are going, if you want to know how to not get off your path, you have to know the answer to that.
Right.
Because those are 2 extremely different things.
Yeah.
They get built differently. So the number one thing is knowing, reverse engineering from what it is that you want, getting massively clear about it. And the second is the litmus test. Everything you do, get real black and white about it. Is what I'm doing today, is what I'm doing right now, is what is on my calendar, is what is in my checkbook, is what the decisions that I'm making. It is either moving you closer to your goal or further away from it.
Right.
Period. Is what I'm doing moving me closer to the thing that, and this is why they go together. If you can't answer that, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't make any money. And that's why I was a pinball, is I didn't have the clarity around what I was building.
Yeah. And what you said is really important. Whenever people say they're stuck and they get struggle because so many shiny objects, so many things come in their way, and how do I make the decision of when to say no, when to say yes? And so, and a lot of times they either say no all the time or they say yes all the time. And so having it tied to that outcome, that your core values, your vision, is an easier way to be able to say, no, that doesn't align, Or
Right.
yes, it
And
does.
is it going to move me towards it? Not just the alignment of it, because you can have 17 different things that'll move me that are in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But does it move you forward?
Yeah.
And if you're already tapped out, then adding another busy thing is not going to move you forward.
Right.
It's
Very
actually
good.
going to move you away.
Mm-hmm. So what, and I know that you're very positive, you're a very go-getter kind of person, but as you add new endeavors, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, I would have to think that the imposter syndrome does sneak in. And how do you deal with that?
It's, for me, it's not as much imposter syndrome as I mean, I guess maybe you can call it that. It's learning, like, one of the things that stifles people's progress is who you surround yourself with, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And how do you walk into the bigger, better room knowing you belong there? So I guess that is a version of imposter syndrome. So one of the things that I've done to help me get through all that as I was moving through all that is I walk into every situation knowing two things. There's two things. Number one, I'm open to anything happening. I'm open to anything happening. So if I go into a networking event that is a fancier version of a group of people at a higher level than I've been before, I'm open to anything happening. I'm not looking for a sale. I'm not looking for a referral partner. I'm not looking for a speaking gig. I'm looking for all of it, any of it.
Whatever comes.
Whatever comes. I know something will happen.
Yeah.
I'm open to it being whatever it is. And the other thing I know is I can help in some way. You don't have to be the expert. And this is where we mess ourselves up. Humans are very all or nothing. We think we're either the absolute expert or we suck. That's not really how it works. One of the quotes I've heard so many times is to a fourth grader, a fifth grader is really cool. Like, don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Don't pretend that you have to be right. You don't need all that.
Yeah.
To know that you can help in some way. So when I walk in knowing that I can help in some way, that might be because you're my ideal client and I can solve your problems, and that's fantastic. But it also might be because I know the person you need to meet.
Yeah.
And it also might be that I just can be the person to put a smile on your face that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I started all this, it really was because so many people helped me along the way. And I wanted to be not so much the influencer, which, is kind of a buzzword now.
Which now means liar, right?
Yeah. But really, I want to just be the connector. I want to be able to connect you with somebody that I know, like, and trust, that I think might be a good connection for you.
100%.
And that's, that's what makes me feel successful, is when I can do that. And
it really is approaching by being of service. People always, in sales, we teach, don't be attached to the outcome. Well, that's great to say and harder to do, right?
Yeah.
When you need the money, it's hard to not be attached to the outcome. But the more you can approach everything, sales conversations, networking opportunities, all of it, knowing that you can help with some way, being of service, while being open to everything that can happen, then the sales that are supposed to happen will happen. And you will create raving fans out of the people you help but don't sell to.
Yeah. I agree. So another question is, what do you really wish you would have known when you were 20 years old? and you wouldn't have accepted it.
God, I mean, you got to remember, I don't have 20. I was, let's see, if we're going to pick 20, I was still in college and still a city kid. Now surrounded by all these country people at Illinois State and Central Illinois, thinking that was like, where'd all my ethnicity go? Where's all the food? Where's all the food I grew up with?
I know.
Where's all the color? Where are the other languages? No, It's hard because I don't regret my life.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of, but if you really wanted to go to what did childhood Erin want to be, if I would have known that a better schooling situation would have given me the path to becoming a large animal vet.
Oh, wow.
Then that would have been the path that I had taken. But I don't know that I would, at 20, I was still in the rebellious teenage phase.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also, and at the same time, if you don't dislike who you are, you can't regret where you're come from.
That's exactly right.
Because I couldn't do 1/10 of what I do for anyone else or for myself had I not had the amazing variety of experiences. Like, I'll give you an example. I went to grammar school and high school in the 70s and 80s in Chicago with people from 22 different countries.
Yeah.
Nobody spoke English. We did not have Google Translate. We did not have we had some good teachers, but my algebra class in freshman year of high school was being taught by a geography substitute teacher.
Oh, wow.
So I was sitting in the back with Assad, who was from Syria, who didn't speak English, but could draw very well. And he would draw pictures of things, and I would tell him how to say those in English. So I learned how to communicate. I learned a work ethic because at that age, in my senior year of high school, I was working 60 hours a week.
Wow.
Right. So I learned people are just people.
Yeah.
I learned to embrace and have zero fears around the fact that we're all different, instead of all these people who grew up in such a homogeneous situation that they're truly scared of anything that's not like them because they've never experienced it before.
Yeah.
Like, I've got all these amazing, amazing things from that time of my life that serve me so well now.
Yeah.
But education wasn't something that I really learned formal education was not something I learned how to embrace until much later.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding how that might have played a different role in my life had I embraced that. I had other things to do during high school years and even in the beginning of college. Just leave it.
That's another podcast.
That's a different show.
I know. Well, I am going to start next year a second podcast, and it's going to just be just a conversation with Vicki, and I'm just going to have people that I think are cool, right? That have awesome stories that need to be told, and I want to be that one.
I was on a podcast, my friend Mel, and her podcast is More Than Just, and I didn't. She's like, come do the thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do the thing, because I'm always up to do the thing. And I didn't understand where she was going with this. And then what she starts out with, what are you more than just? And the thing that came out of my mouth without me thinking about it was, I'm more than just a juvenile delinquent. Like, oh, isn't that interesting?
There's a Freudian thing happening right there.
That's what came out of my mouth. Isn't that?
And oh wow, I'll have to look up that podcast, because that's gonna be a good one. All right, so we are at the time where I'm going to just do maybe one or two rapid fires, and so these are questions that probably would warrant a longer answer, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Try to keep it short. All right. And we can always have another chat together. So what is the one activity or exercise that has helped you grow on this journey of life to get you where you are today?
Immersed in nature. My activities are immersed in nature. I fill my cup, my version of religion, my version of spirituality, the way that I calm my crazy monkey brain is all immersed in nature.
So I see behind you elephants. Are those sort of some of the large animals that you really wish you could have?
My foundation is legal. Our launch party will hopefully be in 2024. My bigger why is I knew I always wanted to give $1 million to wildlife rescue, but I never knew what that looked like. It's not completely altruistic. I know if I show up with a check, they'll let me play with the baby elephants. So it's just a reminder, right? It's a reminder to me. Got it. Instead of time to make the donuts, my little mantra when I don't feel like doing something is, got to save the baby elephants. So that's just my little visual
good.
reminder, because I'm always on Zoom now. So I see it as much as you see it.
So we should just do a retreat on an African safari.
I have a friend doing it.
So fun.
It's
Yes.
on the list. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so one piece of advice you think that before this podcast ends, your listeners have to remember, and you could have already stated it, but it's worth restating.
Well, and I'll put it to you this way. Everything you decide to do, go through everything you've planned and ask yourself, how can I be a little bit more brave? And then go do that.
Yeah. Courage is tied to confidence. People just got to get over it and understand that.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, so very true. All right, it's time now for those that are just listening. If you did not grab that paper and pencil as I asked you in the very beginning, you better do so now, because I'm going to share my screen. For those that are watching can get a screenshot. If you're just listening, though, you will be able to get this information on my website, thefindyourleadershipconfidence.com, or on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. I will read it to you if you have that paper and pencil, so you can rush to this website, and that is https://
always
conqueryourbusiness.com. So easy to remember, conqueryourbusiness.com. On Facebook, it is Erin Marcus, Conquer Your Business, and LinkedIn is Erin Marcus, Conquer Your Business. Don't we love Erin? And Instagram is Erin Marcus. You got it. Conquer Your Business. So Erin Marcus, Conquer Your Business on YouTube. Just search for Erin Marcus or Conquer Your Business. You will find her. I'm going to turn it over to you, Erin, to talk to them about what your call to action is. What should they look for on your website?
So if you can get everything you need as far as my podcast, getting a hold of me, hook into the socials, all of the things. But there is a download on the website that I love that I've put together. It's called the Business Growth Profiler. I love personality profiles. I think, one, they're just fun. Excuse me. And it's good information to have to know where you're starting, so that you can start that plan of where you're going. And the Business Growth Profiler is something I put together where you can mark your own business in a series of categories. Are you in the launching phase, the leveraging phase, or the leading phase, in several different categories? And then it tells you what to do to move your business forward in each of those categories under these different measurements. All available.
Fantastic. All right, so you're going to go to conqueryourbusiness.com and you're going to grab the free Business Growth Profiler right now, so that you can see where you are and see, more importantly, what steps you have to take to get to the next level. As always, such a pleasure to chat with you. I could do this every week. So much fun, so many good insights. And thank you so much for being such an awesome guest.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, I remind everyone, life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.